AskReddit. What's the most fucked up thing you've seen at work?
I saw a coworker get crushed to death under 6 tons of dirt. I helped dig his body out.
God, thanks for reminding me of my construction days when I was 18. We were cutting out a trench for something. I'm thinking it was a water line of some sort and was fairly deep. It was just a muddy mess, and after about 5 days straight of rain, everything was waterlogged. We had just started the workday when we heard a ton of yelling further down the trench. Turns out the shoring that was preventing the trench from collapsing had given out and buried a man inside up to his shoulders. Luckily, he survived but wasn't in a great state, had broken most of his ribs and both his legs from the weight of the ground hitting him. The worst part was that while we were digging him out, just how serene he was. The guy had fully accepted that he was going to die.
Guy cut his finger in the deli slicer and tried to keep cutting lunch meat for a customer with blood everywhere.
Ouch. I was working at a butcher shop, and one of the butchers politely came up to me and whispered that I needed to finish deboning a lamb shoulder for a customer. She accidentally stabbed herself and needed to patch up her tummy. Luckily, it wasn't deep, but not a great thing to hear.
I used to work with special needs kids, ages 3 to 7, and one of them came up to me on a Monday morning and told me her dad died over the weekend, then skipped off to go play with the rest of the group. I learned later that day that he had overdosed on heroin, and I'm assuming she hadn't fully understood what being dead meant, and that she thought she might see him again.
The way they process these things is incredible and very sad. I had a client whose mother died, and he would say the most heartbreaking things. It's not fair that you have a mother, and I doubt being one of them. His mother was very young and died tragically.
Worked with a guy at a retail store. He came in one day with one red eye and the other normal, so I asked if he was okay. He said yes and said his pet rabbit scratched him while he was playing with it. I didn't think anything of it until about 3 days later when he got arrested, charged with the murder of a pregnant woman and her fetus. He partly dismembered her body to try to hide his tracks, and when he realized that wouldn't work, he then burned her house down with her body inside. That's when I realized that those scratches were really from her fighting for her life. His name is Matthew Brush, and as far as I know, he's still at prison.
A guy knew he was getting fired, so he took a shit in the trash can in his cubicle. Nobody knew if he did it there or took it into the bathroom to shit in it, but he did it one way or another. He got called up to HR and was let go. Then the people working in his area started complaining about the shit smell, and sure enough, I found it in his little trash can. Then I called him to ask about it, and he said it was an old burrito he forgot to throw out. It was not an old burrito he forgot to throw out.
Worked at a call center. I was in the break area on the 2nd floor and heard a guy getting into an argument with his soon-to-be ex-wife. I walked away and back into my call area, and about 30 seconds later, the whole call center went into lockdown. Found out that the guy decided to kill himself and jump head first into the concrete floor and landed right in front of my coworker. He was granted unlimited paid days off and paid therapy for the rest of the year. That's when I realized that those scratches were really from her fighting for her life. His name is Matthew Brush, and as far as I know, he's still in prison.
HR greater than we know, you can't usually afford therapy, but for once you'll be able to pursue it. Take any number of days and just talk it out. Please, don't sue us. Haha. Worker greater than it was like a watermelon being smashed at a summer fair.
Summer job as a teenager was landscaping at an old people's home. Old dude hung himself off his balcony, but he wasn't fully dead and was still moving around. It was horrific to come across that. I probably only looked long enough to recognize what I was seeing, I don't know, maybe 5 seconds, before I turned and ran to get help. But I can still see it decades later if I close my eyes. His name is Matthew Brush, and as far as I know, he's still in prison.